Today, I'm going to show you how to build a second brain with Claude. So Claude has memory, but it's weak. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to make it 100 times more powerful. Right now, Claude remembers little bits here and there, a name, a preference, maybe what you told it last week, but it has no idea what you actually worked on, what decisions you made, what's sitting on your plate right now. And that context can make your agent way more powerful if you set it up correctly. So this system fixes that completely. I'm going to show you how to connect Claude to a second brain that tracks everything you do all day automatically and feeds that context directly into Claude, OpenClaw, Hermes, any AI agent that you use. So instead of Claude giving you generic answers, it gives you an answer based on your context, your projects, your actual situation. The difference is night and day. And the best part is the two tools I'm using to do this are both free. Zero setup experience is needed. I'll walk you through the whole thing step by step. So stick with me to the end because I'm going to show you the one thing as well that you can do right now that will make every single AI tool you use dramatically smarter starting today. So one of the questions I get all the time, as you can see in this example in the AI Profit Boarding, is that Richard was asking like how to use Claude as a second brain, right? How, if you wanted to set up Claude as a second brain, how do you do it, right? So this is my process. All right, so I use a combination of Omi, which can record my screen, record my conversations, take notes on me all day, and then it combines that with something called Obsidian. Now, Obsidian is a free app that basically allows us to create markdown files and essentially document everything that I'm doing all day, right? Now, I can connect that as a second brain to Claude, and Claude can also help me organize it, right? So it works in two different ways. Number one, Claude can help me organize Obsidian, but then at the same time, Claude can pull in the context from Obsidian and this system with Omi, right? So just to recap, Omi takes notes on what I do all day. Obsidian starts documenting that inside markdown files. And then my AI agents can update and pull in the information from that Obsidian vault, right? Now, if you want to see what Omi looks like, this is an example of Omi, right? So you can see here, it's got like all my tasks, my goals, what I'm working on, what I did today. I can actually ask it anything at any time. It's got all my memories on me and what I'm doing. And it just takes notes on me, as you can see, right? It also sets up tasks for me. It links to different apps. And the one that I like to link to is Obsidian, right? So I can explore all the memories and notes that Omi has taken on me. I can pull that into Obsidian. And then with Obsidian, we can then go into Claude and use that for context, right? So how do you do that? If you actually try and pull this in inside a plugin, you'll see that Obsidian is not there, right? If we go into connectors, Obsidian is not there, right? So how do we pull this in, right? What you can actually do here is you can use something called MCP Obsidian, right? And this will link Claude to Obsidian directly. That's one way to do it. Now, another way you can do this is you can go into a new session inside Claude, like you see here. We can open our folder. So I'm going to open up the Obsidian vault, which I've got stored locally. All right, so you can see it here, right? And it's stored locally. I can open that up inside Obsidian, and then I can say, okay, can you see my Obsidian vault and notes? So it's beginning to review that, as you can see inside this chat. So it's going to list the contents of my Obsidian vault, all the information, and it's got access to all my content, right? Which is really cool. So it's got like notable notes, when it was updated, different files, etc. And that's basically linked to Obsidian. So this Obsidian is the second brain, which stores all of my details. And then using Obsidian, I can then link that to Claude. Pretty simple and easy. That was very easy, right? And it has all the context on me and what I'm working on and that sort of thing, right? So I can say, okay, can you check through my memories and pull in some relevant ideas of how you could help me automate stuff day to day based on the memories vault inside Obsidian. So it's automatically got that second brain context plugged into Claude. Now, I would say this is far more useful than if you use Claude as the main documenter for your second brain. The reason for that is if you're using Omi, it's taking notes on you all day, it understands you, it sees what you're working on, etc. Right? It's got a lot of context. Whereas, for example, Claude is not going to run autonomously like that, taking notes on you, right? And then once that's done, it can read my memories file, right? Now, one of the things you're going to notice inside Obsidian is that it's a little bit messy here, a little bit messy, right? So we can actually use Claude to organize our second brain, which is what I'm going to do in a second. So it's reading the memories file, pulling in the key context notes. We can also link this to any other AI agents that we use. use. So for example, that could be OpenClaw. It could be, for example, Hermes agent. Bear in mind, like the more information you give your AI agents, the more context they have about you, the better the outputs and the more useful they're going to become because they understand you and what you're working on, right? So with this memory MD file, it's got way more information on me than it ever had before, right? And it can also save a few facts to memory and give me the synthesis, which is really cool. So now it's pulled in the information from me, what I work on, is here's what I've pulled in from your vault and what I think you could do, right? So for example, it could build a 6 a.m. job that reads new Omi entries and writes to Obsidian with 5 sections. So it could be content ideas, decisions, distractions, wins, errors, etc. Right? It could also, for example, take all of the SEO work I'm doing inside Claude and write that to an Obsidian vault, etc. Right? Now, what we can also do here is I could use it the other way. So I can say to Claude, okay, based on my Obsidian vault, can you organize it into a structured second brain so it's much more useful plus organized? Right now, it's super messy. So for example, untitled documents, not very structured, everything sits inside the memories document, etc. Organize it beautifully. So you can see here it's like restructuring the vault to make it much nicer. And then it's going to create maps of content that we can build, right? So it's a navigation process. So it's actually useful, not just tidy, right? So there's 2 things it's doing there. Number 1, it is organizing the notes. And number 2, it's creating a navigation map that we can go around, right? So it's organizing the restructure now, which is great. By the way, if you have any questions about this stuff, feel free to ask. Post it in the comments if you're watching live, and I'll be happy to help you. So you can see it's now running the new structure, setting that up, etc. And look at this. So if we go into Obsidian now, it's way more organized, right? It looks a lot nicer. So it's actually set up like daily projects, areas, resources, memories, and archive, right? So it's created something that's way more useful. And then it's organized the resources into separate files and folders, right? So for example, the AI profit boardroom assets, like the offer details, the sales page, how much nicer does that look versus what we had before? So it's literally organizing our second brain for us automatically, which is great. And now it's creating the navigation layer, right? The dashboard, the README, the maps of content section for each section, and a daily note template. And it's creating like this nice graph view as well now, right? So everything's getting organized, everything's becoming a lot more tidy. We'll come back to that in a second. That'll be something to work on. So if we go to the home section now, it's created the second brain section, right? Restructured it. It's actually put in the date of when it's organized. And then it's created this right now section, right? So it's got the inbox, today, and the memories. And then it's got active projects, areas that we're working on, different areas, and ongoing responsibilities, the resources. And you can literally see this being updated in real time by Claude. And then it's created like these different playbooks here, a nice archive, and conventions as well, right? It's using something called Para, which is projects, areas, resources, and archive. And then it's numbered everything nicely too. Pretty amazing. Now, if we go to the README here, it's actually got this whole structure and it explains like, here's the rules, here's where things go, so how to organize it. So it's created like an SOP on how to organize it, which my other agents can read and understand and use in the future. And you can see it right here, right? Which is pretty amazing. Now, if we go back over here, that's beginning to structure everything nicely, right? But there's still some parts of it that I'm not 100% happy with. So if we go back into Obsidian over here, let's see what we got. Yeah, so we've got, for example, the operations section here, all the details, etc. Then it's got links to relevant topics, the strategy, and everything's just linked nicely together, which is great. Right? Now, what I can also do is you see this graph view here. It's good, but it's not really linked together properly, right? So what I'm going to do is I'll go back into Claude in a second, and I'm going to take a screenshot so that Claude understands, okay, this is messier than I would like it. It could be a lot more organized. And then I'm also going to take the documentation on Graph View, as you can see here. I'll say documentation on how to use Graph View. And we'll say, what can you do here? Let's see what questions we got in the meantime. My man. Good to see you here, Eric. Thanks for joining. Good morning from Switzerland. Welcome to you here. Vic says, bro, you're a beast. Thanks, man. Simbo says, am I going to finally install Hermes today? Let's hope so. I hope so too. How much does this cost? So Omi is free to use as long as you don't use the chat. If you use the chat, then this is a subscription, but you don't need to use this for the second brain process. And Obsidian is free too, right? And then you've just got Claude. I came just in time, been looking for this content, happy to help. Tony says, hi, Julian, good to see you, Tony. I'm curious about features. I just joined how to create to be more organized. Nice. Eric says, Simbo says, is it as effective to prompt in French as in English in Hermes? Or you can use, there's multiple languages you can use with it. It's designed to be working with other languages. I think some more like less commonly used languages, for example, like Thai, speaking Thai doesn't work so well with Hermes. But if you're, for example, just using basic languages like French, Spanish, Italian, etc., you should be fine. So it's now going to start organizing the map, as you can see here, and it's going to color group the folders, right? So everything's like visually more interesting and more organized. So you can see the graph being organized in real time here. And then it's all beginning to link together as well nicely now too. All right, so we've got the home section that links to all of these, and it's creating the graph.json. Now you also see on the right-hand side, when you're opening up Obsidian, that for each document and each note that you're creating, it's got the heading and then the H2s underneath, right? So the subheadings, which is quite nice. You can like flick through the document like that, just look at the main parts, right? Which is super useful. So it looks at what's working, what's improving, etc. Even like, for example, for our Hermes content that we were working on before. And so it's really nicely organized now. It's looking a lot better. It's even got like nice emojis for each part and each section as well, which is cool. Can Hermes be as agentic as Google Anti-Gravity? I would actually say that Hermes is a lot more autonomous and anti-gravity. I don't know that many people using anti-gravity for agentic tasks, whereas something like Hermes Agent, the whole world's using it, right? It's the most popular AI agent on OpenRouter. So I would say Hermes is way more agentic. And then you can see the map is getting more organized here. So that's basically how to use Claude as a second brain organizer. And then you can use Omi and Obsidian for actually storing content inside your second brain. And also Claude can pull in that context. Hermes Agent, OpenClaw, Codex, etc. They can all use that similar content as well. And it just makes it way easier to organize, right? I think there's a lot more you could do to that. So like, for example, if we're looking at Obsidian here, one thing that I'd probably recommend is that inside, for example, each of these sections, you add more emojis, you add more like nicely organized sections, you make them link together better, etc. But it's looking better and better, right? It's gradually getting a lot cleaner, and you can see how things interlink much better now versus before, which is great. So thanks so much for watching. If you want me to answer your questions like I did for Richard here on video with a full breakdown and tutorial, you can get that inside the AI Profit Boardroom. Link in the comments description, or go to the AIProfitBoardroom.com. And we have a full tutorial on the Infinite Context Engine, which is the whole system that I've shown you today. So I'll walk you through the whole process step by step. I'll give you a video tutorial on it. There's also 100 prompts and a 30-day roadmap that you can use with this sort of stuff. And that is exactly how to use Claude as your second brain. Now, the other cool thing here as well is that inside the Profit Boardroom community, you can ask questions. You can connect with 3,000 members who are also growing and learning like you. Can see it's a very active community. Lots of people helping each other and posting cool stuff. Inside the map, you can connect with people in your local city who are using AI automation like Claude and AI agents. Inside the classroom, you get access to all of my new daily training. So we drop new daily trainings and tutorials over here. We have a full section on how to go from beginner to expert with AI automation in just 6 weeks over there. We have a full course on how to get more clients to the agency. You can learn how to rank #1 inside Google and AI search engines with the AI SEO automation section. And then we also have our coaching calls recorded and everything. You also get 4 weekly coaching calls where you can jump on live calls, get help and support in real time, share your screen, ask questions about your setup, etc. And that's all inside here. Plus, you can connect with me personally here too.